I'd like to start with Amitabh because I don't know how many of you are familiar with what he's trying to do. It's a truly amazing project. It's probably one of the biggest infrastructure projects ever undertaken in this country, which is this whole DMIC, the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. And part of the plan is to have smart cities coming up on either sides. And I'd like to start with him and ask him what they are doing in terms of their planning of smart cities, and then we'll move over to some of the people who have actually thought about this and done some work on this.
Well, thank you very much. You know, when cities were made across Europe and America, land, gas, and water were all very cheaply available. And because they were cheaply available, the Americans made really sprawling cities. You could live in New Jersey and travel to New York, guzzle gas all the way through. And they made cities like Atlanta, where 98.2% of the people travel by car. And therefore, its ecological footprint of Atlanta is 12 times more than that of Barcelona, which both of them have roughly the same population. Now, if you want to bring down the ecological footprint of Atlanta to the level of Barcelona, where Barcelona, 65% of the people use public transport, another 18% either cycle or walk. But if you want to bring it down to that level, you have to literally, you have to create about 2,916 new metro stations. So you have to literally destroy Atlanta and build it afresh. Now, to my mind, a smart city is one where people are able to gain out of two things. One is they're able to access their place of work very easily. And number two, where in today's world, where when cities were made across America, digital technology was not available. It did not exist. And therefore, you created verticals. You created vertical of power. You created a vertical of water. You created a vertical of safety. And none of them were talking to each other. But digital technology enables everything to get connected with each other. And therefore, since India has been a very, very reluctant urbanizer, and some of the new studies show that actually by 2030, 350 million Indians are going to get into the process of urbanization. By 2050, we'll have 700 million Indians getting into the process of urbanization. I mean, that's like creating 2.5 Americas. And therefore, India needs to use technology to leapfrog. And therefore, a thinker like C.K. Prahalad, who was the leading thinker like C.K. Prahalad, said that actually, by the time India becomes 75 in 2022, India needs to create 500 smart cities of 1 million each. And therefore, to my mind, if India wants to grow at rates of 9 to 10% per annum, India needs to use technology to leapfrog. India needs to use urbanization to leapfrog. Now, using technology and urbanization have basically been two different, distinct disciplines, actually. So if you talk to leading global planners from across the world, AECOM, CH2M, Jurongs of the world, and if you talk to them and say, please design a smart city for them, it's very alien to them, because the smart city concepts are all being built by Cisco's of the world, by the IBMs of the world. And if you go to Korea, actually it's the telephone companies which are driving, because they've already reached 4G. And therefore, their business model in Korea is the ubiquitous, they call it the ubiquitous cities. And the business model of all telephone companies is actually smart cities. And the two need to speak. The digital technology and the geographical planning needs to merge. They need to converge. And that, to my mind, is really the key about converging technology with geographical planning and embedding technology in the process of geographical planning. And I think this is what India needs to do. Now, what we are doing in the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor is that there's a train which will run from Delhi to Mumbai. Today, it takes 14 days for goods to reach the ports. All the goods produced in the northern part of India, cars, motorcycles, etc., take 14 days to reach the ports of India. By 2017 end, there will be a new train, a container train, which will carry all the goods. Goods will reach the ports within 14 hours. So from 14 days to 14 hours, that is a revolutionary shift to my mind. But this new train will open a completely new route of India. And on the back of this, we are developing 7 new cities, completely new greenfield cities. And this, to my mind, will be the key driver of growth. This will be the key driver of urbanization. And in all this planning process, planning process, we have embedded technology with the geographical planning, and we are treating ICT, the information communication technology layer, exactly like a layer of power, exactly like a layer of road. It is one of the horizontals which gets merged together. We'll talk more about this, but to my mind, digital technology, what is called as smart cities by some, smart and intelligent cities by the others, ubiquitous by the others, is what India needs to do to leapfrog. And leapfrogging in urbanization is the way forward for India.